Okay, so let me set the stage. I was feeling nostalgic for some old FPS shooters, and when I say old, I mean build engine old. So I go on Steam and find one of the classic shooters, Blood. You know Blood. Yeah, but what caught my attention were the opening cinematics.
I've taken your love. Now I will take your life. Consider my power in a hollow grave.
Fantastic. Anyway, but before those caught my attention, the opening cinematic intros caught my eye, with just how weird they were.
Well, I don't know what I expected.
But that got me thinking about some old cinematic openings. You ever boot up a game that you used to play and those company logos pop up and all of a sudden you're immersed back to when you were probably 10 years old playing that game again? Sometimes for me that's more nostalgic than the game itself because you're guaranteed to experience that every single time you played the game. Maybe the game itself wasn't as fun as you remembered it, or you get to a part of the game where the nostalgia wears off or whatever, but that's what's beautiful about those intros, is that those memories you had with them are real and aren't clouded by nostalgia, because really, what is there to cloud? So what I'm going to do is go through some old opening cinematic logos, for fun. I'm going to assume that you're my age or older because a lot of these are going to be from the late 90s up until probably 2010. So I don't want to see comments like, anyway, I'm going to structure these from least nostalgic to most nostalgic for me, because that's just easier. These first two are just the other neat ones I remembered from the Steam version of Blood that I noticed, and I thought they were really well done. What I realized going back through these was the amount of effort that was put into them, like almost too much. So let's simplify it a little, huh? Apogee made some shit games, but I've always loved their opening for some reason. And for whatever reason, this part always reminded me of the intro to Doom 64 just sped up. I don't know, but maybe it's just me. But speaking of Apogee, my favorite intro was always the one to the game Monster Bash. I love this witch, it's so tiny and evil and it's great. Actually kinda creepy slowed down like that though. But keeping with the simple theme, there's this one. It's the Nintendo logo that pops up just before the original Animal Crossing boots up on the GameCube, and I love it. Alright, these next ones really hit home for me, especially since I played a lot of sports games as a kid. So these logos, when they pop up, send me right back to 2007, or around there. Those intros would always be followed up by songs like Sweetness by Jimmy Eat World or like Smells Like Teen Spirit, because 9 times out of 10 I would be playing hockey video games. If we were talking about singular game company intros, I would have to say Blizzard is the most nostalgic for me. Diablo 2 is one of my favorite games of all time, and whenever I see these intros go across my screen, I get really happy. Diablo 2 is one of those games I always go back to. For some reason, every time that Blizzard North intro plays, it always starts and stops for a split second. I can never figure out why. Here, you can kind of see it in the waveform. Other things I go back to are YouTube videos. I'm a fan of the Normal Boots guys, and it's kind of sad that a lot of their members aren't with them anymore, but I still love them a lot, and their intro will always hold a special place in my heart. It's sad I don't see this one as much as I used to. One intro I saw a lot of growing up was the 3D Realms intro, but what was weird was the actual intro was silent, and the sound that played was associated with whatever game it was on at the time. The one I remember the most was the one from Shadow Warrior. But remember, this intro is technically silent, so now witness a small clip show of me being 12 and adding funny stuff to the 3D Realms intro.
Me so horny. Me so horny.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
I want Spider-Man!
Damn, I'm good. I've got balls of steel.
I have crippling depression.
Okay, that was fun. Okay, so those are cool and all, but we actually have to get on a piece of technology to play these games, right? And the startup sound of Windows will always make any PC user nostalgic, even if they don't play video games. And the most iconic ones to me were always Windows Vista / Windows 7, they're the same thing. Or probably more iconic is Windows XP. These define probably the childhoods of many people, including myself. But there's one company I'm overlooking, and I'm kind of doing that on purpose, because their intro, especially to the aforementioned sports games, is probably the most iconic video game company cinematic out there.
E.
Okay, but really.
EA Sports. It's in the game.
EA, as evil as it is, built my love for sports games, and for that I tip my hat to them. This next one isn't a video game company, but I don't care. It's my video, I'll do whatever I want. But when I show it to you, I think you'll agree. And if you've never seen it before, I'll play the whole thing so you get the full effect. Yeah, your mind's blown, I bet. But going back to the shitty companies that have iconic intros, Ubisoft is probably the most well-known for their early 2000s intro, namely... Or if you were like me and played the Prince of Persia trilogy... Ubisoft is in the same boat as EA for me though. A tip of the hat, but it's kind of shit at this point. But if we're going completely nostalgic, console startups are probably what you most remember. This is probably the most recognizable one. Yeah, the GameCube is definitely the best one I think, but I can't help but think I'm leaving one out though. Oh, I don't know, probably this one. Yeah, I think a lot of people would have been angry if I left that one off. I have to admit, for me, that's the most nostalgic intro bar none, and I'm an Xbox guy. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. It was kind of weird, but I think it's interesting to look back and see a part of our childhood that we barely remember. We only appreciate it for a short time before the system turns on or the game starts up, then we forget and move on, but deep down we still cherish those sounds and colors. You're welcome.